Hello guys, welcome back to the crew Waldron. Driving our car's part number 60, the Lotus Evora GTE. This is one of those cars which has been Summit Reward. That's how they sort of came into the play, or into the game in this case. And if I'm not mistaken, this was the first one. They released the Wild Run edition of the game in November 2015 somewhere. And they came up with the summit, and there were summit events and you could win cars. For November-December 2015, first summit reward, that was this Lotus. Bit longer, a bit wider than an Exige or an Elise. While those Exiges and Elise are dealing with 1600, 1800 2-liter engines, this one is 3.5 V6 if I'm not mistaken. So 3.5 liters, a bit more oomph. That's what we're dealing with here. But it's also a bit heavier than an Exige or an Elise, and that makes it a bit slower. We tested the Exige S in the previous video, and this Evora GTE is well, it's a bit heavier, so it doesn't respond that quick and then stuff like that. It's all a bit less than the Exige, and quite a bit less, to be honest. Let's see, we already will see that in the performance test here, I think. Let's compare it with the Exige. 23.5 the Exige did here, which was kind of above average. Performance spec, a bit more carbon here and there. A sporty blue color, as I often have on my performance specs, or sports specs, because yeah, it's called performance if you have the client in English. If you put the client in another language, it's called sports spec. Wheel spin in first gear, and that was pretty long, so I don't think it necessarily has to do with the surface on the one wheel here. On these salt flats, it's probably suffering from it. We were doing 350 plus on the finish with the Exige, so yeah, obviously this is slower. More than half a second slower, to be exact. 24.1, that is just below average. We have a bunch of 23-second cars in performance, also a bit, quite some bit, 24 plus, and this is one of them. So no, acceleration is not really a plus on this one. Was above average in the Exige, but even that was not that good, and acceleration wise, and this is even slower. So because it has a longer and wider body, it also responds kind of slow, which makes it kind of a stiff chassis, I guess. Brakes are also way less than in an Exige, which I have driven before this one, but I guess they're kind of okay in the end, because the Exige has pretty decent brakes. Can't even call them good, so But this is a bit, yeah. It is a bit boat handling. Haven't mentioned that. I usually mention boat handling when we're dealing with larger and wider cars. And that's why it kind of gets away with it. But it's the same as I mentioned with some of the wide heavy Americans. The boat handling is what I mean is the brakes are not that good. In some corners it understeers, in some corners it oversteers. So you're constantly fighting with speed and acceleration and the handling and its own. And seeing this is smaller and not so wide compared to those, also lighter of course. It sort of gets away with it, but it's still dealing with it. And the acceleration is not what it's supposed to be, so no. We are dealing with an average car here. Can't make much more of it than average in performance. Also speed wise we will eventually get to 400 maybe. Exist with the smaller engine did 410 here, so no. It has a decent top speed, but even that with the slower acceleration it kind of takes a bit longer to even get there at top speed, so so average in performance, then the only use you can come up with is British qualifiers, and then you are going to end up with McLarens or the Lotus XC, so definitely not the Evora. So I guess it's one of those cars you can have some fun with in free drive, but other than that, for time attack stuff like that, just leave it be in your garage. I will see you guys in the next one, and bye for now.